Today's content is all about the question that you may be asked either at phone screen or at panel being the final stage of interview at Amazon. Why Amazon? And I'm going to try and talk you through how you might come up with the best answer for you. It really is important that it's the best answer for you. There is no one single right answer. It's got to be about your truth, and therefore I can't tell you the right answer, but I'm going to talk to you about the factors that you would want to consider when you're thinking about what your answer is going to be. The other thing you want to bear in mind is that how you answer this question has to be quite different between phone screen and panel. And I'll explain to you that as we go along. But we're going to start out with phone screen. And I have some notes with me because this is quite complicated, so I apologise if I'm looking down. All right, so phone screen. So some teams have one phone screen, some teams have two phone screens. You might be asked both phone screens the same question. I'd encourage you to have the same answer that you answer in both should you have those two phone screens. So what they're trying to understand when they do this is really your motivation for joining Amazon. This is pretty self-explanatory stuff I'm going to go into now. So are you joining for the right reasons, and should you join the organisation, are you going to stick around? Are you going to be a good long-term employee? And that's what they're searching for in the initial phone screen. But when they ask the question, why Amazon, the truth is it's a lot more complicated in terms of a question, right? That's just a shortcut to a couple of different things. Those things are going to be kind of why Amazon, but very specifically why this unit, and maybe even why this team. And the reason why that is Amazon, if you step back and think about it, is so many different things, right? So many different businesses within Amazon. Pharmaceuticals, groceries, video streaming, retail, cloud services. It's hugely diverse. And the truth is, any one of those businesses could be a business unto itself with Jeff as the CEO. So why Amazon is almost a nonsensical question, because Amazon is just so many different things simultaneously. There are, however, a couple of truths that are true of every single unit within Amazon, regardless of which unit it is or what country it's operating in. So I'm going to talk you through those, and I'm going to suggest you think about how those things relate to you and how you feel about those things in order to be able to formulate your answer to why Amazon. So the first truism is the concept of the leadership principles, okay? They are absolutely the DNA of Amazon, and every single Amazonian will be able to talk to every single other Amazonian, and will probably do it anyway, and talk about the individual leadership principles and know exactly what each other mean. It's absolutely the glue that holds everything together and ensures that everybody is speaking the same language. So that's one truism. The second truism that's universal of everything in Amazon is ways of working. There are very peculiar, as Amazon likes to define them, peculiar being unique, not strange, peculiar ways of working that are so fundamental to Amazon. So the first is really around document writing and meetings and how those meetings operate. The second really is about how flat the structure is in Amazon, the absence of kind of the complexity of hierarchy in a attempt to minimize bureaucracy, allowing agile decision making. So that's the second thing that's really true of wherever you are in terms of an Amazon business. And then the third thing that's always going to be true of any Amazon business is this idea of the bar constantly raising. So the interview process is all about making sure that everybody that joins the organization raises the bar. They are better than 50% of the people at that current level at that point in time, because the goal is that the entire organization is always improving year after year. So the bar naturally raises as new people join the organisation and they are stronger. But the reality of that means that anybody that's in the existing organisation has to also constantly be learning, constantly be growing, constantly be developing themselves. So that is also true of everywhere you are in Amazon. It is always on a pathway of growth and improvement. Wherever you are, whoever you are, it's expected that you will consistently be raising your own bar. Okay. So those are the three things that are consistent about Amazon regardless of where you are. But at that point it starts to deviate, because as I mentioned at the beginning, the businesses that exist in Amazon are hugely diverse across different sectors and also in terms of maturity. So the other thing that I think is useful to anchor your answer in is in the concept of the maturity of those businesses. There are effectively 3 different states that you'll find businesses in Amazon. The first is kind of the build state. Brand new businesses that are just starting out in new sectors to Amazon, where the task is to really build something from scratch. So that's the first one. The second one then is about scaling. So businesses that are built, they have their basic structures in place, they have their teams in place, they have their product being shipped, they have their processes in place. Now the task is to really scale that. So using processes, the leadership principle of invent and simplify to really make sure that business kind of explodes out the gate and is on that steep growth trajectory. So that's the second type of business. The third type of business is optimization. So those are the businesses that are really mature, well established in Amazon, and really the goal is to optimize it to the nth degree, to squeeze out every single inefficiency, to get every single piece of value out of it. So those are 3 different states that any business is likely to be in Amazon. So when you're thinking about your why Amazon question, why for you, it's definitely worth identifying which of those 3 states the unit that you are interviewing for is in, and then why you as a candidate would find that really appealing. Okay, so then the next thing to think about is the team itself. So you should really do your homework about that team. Speak to your recruiter. You and your recruiter have absolutely the same agenda, which is for you to get hired. They are absolutely in your corner on this. So they will tell you anything they possibly can as regards the team. So find out about the team history, find about the team and where they want to go, find out about their key challenges, really seek to understand the team that you're going to be interviewing for. And then again, think about yourself and why you would want to enter that team. Okay, so that's the kind of the key areas that I think you should focus on when it comes to phone screen. My only proviso is there is a lot of information there, right? There's a lot to cover. And really, the decisions are made to hire or not hire a candidate based on their performance in the competency questions, which is where they explore the leadership principles. So although you want to cover that ground, you probably want to cover it relatively quickly. So I'd recommend aiming for maybe only 6 to 10 sentences to cover off that information. Be clear, be concise, try and encapsulate all of that, but the goal really is to land it concisely, and then move on so that the interviewer can cover the leadership principles. Okay, so that's on the phone screen piece. Panel is slightly different, and the reason why panel is slightly different is that there is in fact a policy in place where an interviewer's assumed view of your motivation for joining Amazon isn't meant to define the hire or no hire decision. By the time you get to panel, the decision around are you coming to interview for good reasons that will mean that you want to stay long term should be done and dusted. You shouldn't have made it to panel if someone doesn't think that's the case. So at panel, the decision making is all around, are you raising the bar on the leadership principles, and are you going to have a long-term potential career at Amazon because you've got plenty of growth still in your capabilities. So if you get asked this question, it is really much more along the lines of a warm-up question than it is about identifying whether someone wants to hire you or not hire you. So treat it as such. I would take a view of, you've already kind of planned the answer because you gave that answer in the phone screen. Synthesize it up to maybe only 2 or 3 sentences and get yourself into the leadership principle questions as quickly as possible. A decision to hire or not hire you will not be made at panel based on your answer to why Amazon. But it's a nice warm-up question. It's a way of just kind of building that rapport between you and your interviewer. So synthesize up what you'd already created for phone screen, 2-3 sentences, done and dusted, and move on to the leadership principle questions that your interviewer will then be asking you. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next time.